Another day, another Trump failure. But what else is new? We should be getting used to this by now. All of that winning that he said that we were going to have. Yeah, we've yet to see that, right? Because with each regime that he's in charge of, part one, clown car. Part two, oh, I don't know, death killing clown car, like filled with idiots with machetes. Nonetheless, dear friends, there is so much to get into today. And guess what? Donald Trump is dropping F bombs because that's what presidents do. Remember the tan suit? Yeah, I miss those days. Anyway, welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show, dear friends. Let's get into it. So we begin today with a story in Rolling Stone that lays out, the fact that guess what? You can't actually put together a ceasefire vis-a-vis your broke down social media platform and think that's what stick. Trump drops F-bomb in angry rant as ceasefire gets off to rocky start. The president is learning the hard way that military aggression cannot be stopped via Truth Social. So, after bombing 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend, Trump is now demanding that everyone just, simmer down. It's hard to keep the peace when missiles are flying across borders, and Trump is learning firsthand that it takes more than simply posting online that a ceasefire is in effect to end military aggression. It's like this fucking regime is so online, like it's either that they're so online on Trump's broke down social media platform, or they're so glued to Fox News, as I said in yesterday's Danielle Moodie show, that the reality of how things actually work in the real world is completely and totally lost on them. And you are seeing that each and every fucking day. Early Tuesday morning, Iran reportedly fired a barrage of missiles that struck an apartment complex in southern Israel, killing at least 4 people. The Iranian military later denied firing the munitions in violation of the ceasefire. Israel responded by striking a radar base north of Tehran. Speaking to reporters outside the White House, Trump said he was not happy with Israel or Iran. Okay. So I want to play this clip for you, and forgive me because I know that we try very hard on this show not to listen to Donald Trump's voice, because I believe that energy is absolutely real, and I like to keep my energy field, cleansed of the devil. So here is Donald Trump when asked on the South Lawn of the White House about, the rocky start to the ceasefire.
That Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
So this is just like normalized behavior. I drop F bombs because guess what? I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not a member of Congress, and I don't need to have any form of fucking decorum on my shows. But you think that the man that is supposed to be the leader of the unfree world, that he would show some type of, I don't know, decorum, class, any of those things. And yet, the black man, Barack Obama, that was president for 8 years, was consistently picked apart for his outfit choices, for his swagger. But Donald Trump, a piece of fucking trash who has just debased the office of the presidency and does so every goddamn day, has now normalized just dropping F bombs and walking off. And you know what? It won't be a story. But if Joe Biden had done that, if Kamala Harris had done that, if Barack Obama had done that, my God, it would be nonstop coverage. I'm just so sick and tired. And I have to bring it up. I have to show you just how the media works when it's Donald Trump, when it's a cis hetero white man that is in power, that is wealthy, and when it's everybody else, right? And how the reactions are just absolutely different. One is met with outrage and nonstop coverage, and the other one is met with a shrug. So here's what Donald Trump thought that he was doing on his broke down social media site to usher in a ceasefire. He just thought that he gets to sit in Mar-a-Lago or the White House, right? Pop his his fucking Coke and sit there and just, this is what it means to be president. It means this. That's it. No diplomacy, no understanding of geopolitics, no curiosity whatsoever, no intellect, no actual intelligence, which we covered. And Marco Rubio made very clear, we don't need intelligence. Sir, that's obvious. But this is what Donald Trump posts on social media, and this is what now passes as diplomacy. Quote, "Congratulations, world. It's time for peace," Trump wrote shortly after on Monday, adding that it has been fully agreed between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered capitalized ended. The ceasefire is now in effect. Please don't violate it, Trump wrote Tuesday at 1 a.m. as reports circulated of escalating tensions between the two nations. Shortly after, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced that the military would resume its offensive against Iran, and a wave of drone attacks was deployed against Iranian military bases and planned for more. So here's Donald Trump. Again, this is what it means to be president of the United States. Israel, don't drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. So do you mean that if it's in all caps, that means you're serious? That means Donald Trump means business. He wrote on Truth Social around 6 a.m. About an hour and a half later, Trump wrote that Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home, while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. What the fuck is that? What's a plane wave? Does anybody know? Is that like when you angle down and one wing just goes like this? What is a plane wave? No one will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention on this matter. It's as if Donald Trump thinks that every time he goes on his broke down social media platform, that that's somehow a PSA, somehow a news alert. I mean, it is a news alert because this is how the media has been treating each and every single one of his posts, right? For the last 10 years. But he honestly thinks that like we all get push notifications on our phone that's like, boop, boop. Donald Trump says the world is now a peaceful place. So I guess like this is how we're rolling. Folks, I swear to God, I wish that this could be funny. I wish that actual lives were not at stake. I wish that Donald Trump was just a clown and a joke. But the fact of the matter is that this is not the Onion. None of this is fucking funny. People are dying. And America has interjected itself all to appease Donald Trump's ego and get more ratings on Fox. Like I really don't know what circle of hell this is at this point, because I have lost count at the descent. Goes on to say that Trump had a quote angry conversation with Netanyahu, who doesn't give a fuck. A White House source told Barack Ravid that Trump was angry and spoke to Netanyahu in quote an exceptionally firm and direct way about his objection. So I guess instead of providing him with, as Wajahat says so eloquently, verbal fellatio on a regular fucking basis, that Donald Trump what? Put his big boy pants on and stomped his feet and waved his finger and was hoping that maybe Netanyahu would give a fuck about what he says. He's got the money, motherfucker. He's got our billions of dollars in taxes that we pay in this country to help Americans, right? Is over there exterminating Palestinians. And now on the course collision on World War III. You think that Netanyahu is waiting around for the green light from you? The delusion at this point is wild to me. According to this, Trump told Netanyahu what needed to happen to sustain the ceasefire. Here's an idea. In order to sustain a ceasefire, you need to maybe not drop any more bombs. Maybe that. Maybe don't drop any more bombs. Maybe that's what a ceasefire looks like. And also just heads up for the media that war is actually when both sides have weapons. So what is happening at the behest and at the desire of Israel is to declare war on everyone. But what is notably happening to the Palestinian people in Gaza is not war. It is genocide, because those people have no way to fight back. And all of a sudden, just FYI, there are reports circulating that over 300 to 400,000 Palestinians are missing. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I don't think that they're missing. I think they've been murdered. I think in response to October 7th, that cost nearly 1,200 Israelis their lives, that Netanyahu has set out on a genocidal, sociopathic run and has murdered nearly 500,000 Palestinians with no signs of stopping. Language matters. So when we talk about war and we talk about ceasefires, it's really important to know where the power lies. If you have the ability to build up a nuclear arsenal, which Israel has, you have the backing of the world and have unlimited resources funneled your way because you're the only country in the Middle East that has the right to defend itself. You're the ones that can enforce laws that create second-class citizens of the Palestinian people. Like, if you're the one that holds all the cards and has all the power, then guess what? You're no longer the oppressed. And you haven't been for quite some time. And if your safety is contingent upon the eradication of an entire group of people from the planet, then you will never be safe. Period. And Donald Trump inserting himself into Israel's continued escalation and attacks on Muslim countries is going to cost people their lives. And it has already cost hundreds of thousands of Palestinian lives. Babies, women, children, men. These are not faceless people. These are not statistics. These are human beings that only want to live free with self-determination, that are being erased from the planet because they have been disconnected from their humanity for generations. And we have allowed ourselves to believe that one person's safety, one group's safety is contingent on another group's oppression. This has been done the world over, the world over, the world over. Yeah. So while all of this is happening, right, as we continue to have eyes on the Middle East and continue to have eyes on Iran and Israel, guess what else is happening? Because I think it's something that would be worth covering. So I'm covering it. Meet the DC bigwigs literally profiting off of Trump's deportations. Plus, the Constitution is clear. You can just do things. So this is according to Axios. Palantir, the Peter Thiel founded software and technology company that has played a central role in helping ICE round up and deport as many migrants as possible, is becoming one of the hottest and most lucrative stock picks among members of the 119th Congress. Since Donald Trump assumed office in January, 7 members of Congress have traded the stock, according to the most recent financial disclosures. And those are for the ones that are willing to disclose. In that same time, Palantir's value has skyrocketed, rising from $73 per share on Trump's full first day in office to around $140 today. And remember that Trump's pathetic military parade was sponsored by Palantir. And if you listen to my other podcast that I do with my friend Andy Levy, As the World Churns, yesterday's Fuck That Guy was about the military, the army in particular, that just made colonels of 4 big tech CEOs. And one of them being from Palantir, OpenAI, Meta, and someplace else. Palantir is running roughshod over this country. And guess what? It's a bipartisan party. Because take a look at who's on the fucking list. And these are just the people that are willing to disclose. Because something tells me, you know how our disgusting Supreme Court, where we have learned over the past couple of years how much money Clarence Thomas has been making off of his Supreme Court seat and how much money other members of the Supreme Court have been making with their Republican sugar daddies, and how he just forgot to disclose certain things like his home being paid off and private school for his kid and et cetera, and all of these fancy vacations. So these are the members of Congress. Ro Khanna, Democrat. Julie Johnson, Democrat. Gil Cisneros, Democrat. And the others are Republicans. But it gets worse. Beyond the halls of Congress, a new report published Tuesday by the Project on Government Oversight revealed that White House Deputy Chief of Staff, the Nazi Stephen Miller, owns a large portfolio that includes as much as wait for it, $250,000 worth of Palantir stock. $250,000 worth of Palantir stock Miller owns. That means the official directly behind the mass deportations effort is profiting from the very company being boosted by those efforts. These types of financial entanglements have caused major headaches for past White houses. Think back to Dick Cheney's financial holdings in Halliburton during the Iraq War. But what's notable about the Palantir stock holding is just how widespread it is. In addition to Miller, a dozen more White House officials and appointees are cashing in on the administration's partnership with Palantir, according to the Pogo report. I mean, when I say to you on this show on a regular basis that we need a new fucking party, this is the type of shit that I am talking about. When it comes to war and when it comes to money and politics, there is absolutely no difference between Republicans and Democrats because they are both suckling off of the same billionaire tit. And that's just the truth. So I say to you that one of them will pretend, the white moderates, right? They will pretend to be on board, to have your back, to be what? Kneeling in the halls of Congress wrapped in their fucking kente cloth while they pass legislation that is all but stalling progress in this country. All so that they can keep the perception of holding on to the status quo. Now, Republicans have full on took their hoods off, right? They are full blown fucking white nationalists and racists that are in Congress, that are in the White House, that could care less about pretending. They don't need any pretense anymore. They're running shit. But where they are actually very clear and intertwined is around the money. Cash rules everything around me. And all billionaires have to do these days is pick their representatives, is pick and own and buy their presidents, while the rest of us, right? What's our recourse? I continue to say it, a national fucking strike. That's the recourse to shut this shit down. Because neither one of these parties, I am telling you, have our backs. Neither one of these parties give a shit about the average American person. Ethics experts say Miller's deep involvement in ISIS efforts and his financial stake in Palantir raises conflict of interest concerns. Who cares? Right? All of Donald Trump's cases got thrown out, and now he has $1 billion worth of pro bono work that law firms are willing to do for him. So what difference does it make? Are we going to call up for an impeachment? Are we going to call for a hearing? Also that they can put on a show and then send you push notifications for fundraising? Miss me with the bullshit. So ICE and Palantir's years-long relationship continues to deepen, with the technology company recently receiving a lucrative ICE contract without any competition. It's a type of arrangement that may not bother Republicans in Congress, but it's one that seems ripe for Democrats to look into should they retake power. Yeah, maybe Democrats should look into it. Should they retake power in whose election? The midterms? Okay. That may make for more interesting oversight hearings. Yes, because this is all about entertainment. But it could also make for some discomfort for those Democrats who traded the stock. So, who do you think is doing an investigation? I don't think anybody's going to do an investigation because you see, when AOC and Elizabeth Warren, I believe Elizabeth Warren in the Senate, tried to introduce and pass legislation that would stop members of Congress from basically engaging in insider trading, guess what never came up for a vote? So you're asking, much in the same way that we ask the police to police their racist behavior when murdering unarmed people, we're asking Congress to police their behavior on getting rich off of their positions. Sure. So, in other news, before we get into Town Hall Tuesday, I was off for the weekend. As I told you all, that my sister got married on Sunday. And so I took a little break to, enjoy my family and celebrate my sister's marriage. And it's really hard. It's really hard to even focus, like I say, on a regular basis on good things, on joy, when in the midst of all of that, the Supreme Court decided that, oh no, it's totally okay for Donald Trump and ICE to continue to kidnap Black and brown people off of the streets and send them to third-party countries that they've never been to. That it's totally okay to kidnap people and send them to be tortured and die for no other, I don't know, conviction, no due process. You just get to do that. And I think to myself, like, again, I'm in the midst of trying to hold joy and celebrate and watching the fact that now ICE is starting to raid nail salons, right? Literally picking up nail techs and just throwing them in the back of vans. That I talked to you about Narcisco, the father of 3 U.S. Marines who was pummeled by ICE agents, pulled from his job landscaping the IHOP and beaten right out in the public and detained. Can't go after those agents, though, because they're all masked and they're all thugs. But you know what I started to think about? I said to myself, where's the story that should still be in the press of, Vance Butler, the white man who assassinated a state representative and her husband and their dog, who then shot another state senator and his wife, and then had a hit list. If that man, Vance Butler, had been Black or brown or undocumented, do you think that he would be out of the press right now? Do you not think that every single story that had been rolling out since their assassinations wouldn't be about his connections, right, to whatever gang, to whatever thing that they were making up in the media to foment their fucking stereotypes, their discrimination, and their hate of Black and brown people? But because he's a white man and a Trump voter, that story is all but disappeared. This week, it'll come back up for a little bit because Jessica Hortman and her husband John and their dog are going to be laying in state in the Capitol, right, of their home state. And so we'll talk about them again for a little bit. But think to yourself that if they were Black and brown, what the wall-to-war fucking coverage would be. And you know what? And people are right, saying in the chat, oh, because he wouldn't still be alive. And you are 100% right. And so here's another white murderer, right, whose story I missed over the weekend because I was celebrating my sister's nuptials, but gunman opens fire on Michigan church and is fatally shot by staff members, police say. One church employee was injured in the shooting on Sunday in Wayne, Michigan. The police said the church was hosting its vacation Bible school, was filled with children at the time. A man clad in tactical vest and carrying an AR-15 style rifle and a semi-automatic handgun opened fire on a Michigan church filled with children attending vacation Bible school on Sunday before being fatally shot by 2 members of the church's security staff. The shooting, which was reported at little after 11 a.m. at Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan, which is about 25 miles west of Detroit, left one church staff member with a gunshot wound in the leg, the police chief, Ryan Strong, said at a news conference on Sunday night. The staff members who opened fire were not publicly identified. The chief said the staff member who was shot had injuries, but they were not life-threatening. We're grateful for the heroic actions of the church's staff, who undoubtedly saved many lives and prevented a large-scale mass shooting. In a statement late on Sunday, the police identified the man as Brian Anthony Browning, 31, of Romulus, Michigan, which is about 10 minutes from Wayne. His mother is a member of the church, and Mr. Browning had attended church services 2 or 3 times in the past year. Now, folks, what race do you think Mr. Browning is? Because he even gets treated with, I don't know, white gloves in the press. Ta-da! In 1 month, yet another white man strapped up, Army fatigues, AR-15, goes on a fucking rampage. But who is ICE picking up off the streets and sending to foreign gulags? Innocent black and brown people that are just in this country trying to do the work that these fucking angry ass white men would never do. While white domestic terrorists continue to terrorize this country, we just act like that is all par for the course. Because remember, they're all just fucking lone wolves. There's no need for investigation into the sociopathic mindset of white men. We pathologize everybody else. But where we see the consistent fucking pattern of rage and violence and guns is with white men. Meanwhile, the father of 3 U.S. Marines is pulled off of a lawnmower and beaten by ICE. Meanwhile, those that exercise their First Amendment right guaranteed to them by the Constitution are called terrorists. But this motherfucker is Mr. Browning. I'm so sick to death of this country right now. Like, I am just so fucking sick and tired. So we end with this today, that the slain Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman, my apologies, I said Jessica, it is Melissa Hortman, husband and dog to lie in state. Minnesota Rep. Melissa Hortman and her husband will lie in state after they were killed in what authorities called a political assassination. Representative Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their golden retriever Gilbert will lie in state at the Minnesota State Capitol on June 27th. Hortman and her husband were shot and killed inside their home on June 14th after what was described as the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. Vance Luther Boatler was arrested and charged in federal court in connection with the shooting. Once again, not an immigrant, not a black person, not a Muslim, a white man. When will America decide that they have a problem with angry white men and their petulance for violence? They get to be individuals. They get to be forgotten about. They get to be arrested and taken for a burger like Dylan Roof was when he murdered 9 parishioners in South Carolina at Mother Emanuel. It's disgusting, and I am over it. And you should be too. All right, folks, I am going to open up for Town Hall Tuesday. So if you have a question for me, write question in all capital and followed by your question. And I will take the next 10 minutes to do my best to answer your questions. So, dear friends, let's get into Town Hall Tuesday. All right, my dears, please, if you have a question for me, do write question in all caps, followed by your question. And I will do my best to answer it. Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder here. Yeah, Kyle Rottenhouse did get to walk, didn't he? And then got a plum speaking position at the RNC. Question, Jenna, if we don't shut it all down, do you believe we'll be living in a AI Palantir run pseudo simulation of their making, i.e., slavery? Yup, I absolutely do. I think that if we as a collective don't manage to organize ourselves into a national boycott, that what is coming next isn't just going to be those that are quote unquote undocumented and immigrants picked up and thrown into the back of vans. I believe that loads of people are going to start disappearing. And then where will they be? Right? Are they going to be in these third party countries? Right? Are they going to be in these private run detention centers that serve soggy food that's inedible, where the treatment is basically just a step above, right? The Atlantic slave trade? When you steal all of the workers, the hard workers, tax paying workers that are picking our fruits, that are taking care of your children, that are doing a number of jobs that white Americans don't want to do, who do you think that they're going to force to do those jobs for free? Think about that, because I think about it on a regular basis. Question, Rachel Maddow revealed how weak the country's national security leadership has become under Trump. Oof. Do you think a 9/11 style catastrophe is on the horizon as a result? Gus, that is something that has been genuinely keeping me up at night. Yeah, I do. I think that it is going to be a matter of time before something like 9/11 happens in this country. And I think that the more that Donald Trump continues to make this country unstable and destabilizes the world, what we see that pops up in its place is terrorism. And funny enough, I'm not 100% sure that that terrorism is going to be done by a foreign entity, right? We are watching, as I just laid out, domestic terrorism, white domestic terrorism become normalized in this country again. It was normalized once before. It was called Jim Crow, where lynchings took place on a regular basis, where people were picked up off of the street and hung from trees. Children were beaten, gutted, pregnant women gutted, babies thrown into alligator dens. Like, this is not Black Mirror. That is America's dark history that it has been denying. And so do I think that increased acts of terrorism are on the horizon? Absolutely. But we have to understand that we are under a terror threat right now. Question. were you able to be in the moment this weekend and just have some joy? Oh, congratulations to your family. Thank you, Trash Panda Logic, for that question. Yes, I was. My sister's wedding was beautiful. It was wonderful to be surrounded by friends and family and spend the weekend together doing something that was joyful. And I have to be reminded consistently of how important community and family is, the community that we build with our friends and other loved ones, and how we need to continue to stay grounded in that. But yes, was I able to be solely just oblivious and enjoy? Unfortunately not, because I get all of the alerts. Like, I'm sitting on my parents' deck and my mother comes out and she's just like, Trump just bombed Iran. And I'm like, right, got it. Like, it's a constant never ending. So I say to all of us, we have to ground ourselves in community, in family, with friends, in order to hold on to our humanity and not become numb. Um, I saw this earlier. Thank you for this, Beresford. What are your thoughts on the 128 Dems that didn't support impeachment? We need a new party. These people are not for us. They do not understand and are reading the room. There was an Onion article that said Democrats try to stand real still and hope nobody notices them. Case in fucking point. No backbone, no stinger, no push whatsoever. They think that they're going to notepad and strong word their way out of fascism. So miss me with the bullshit. And like David Hogg, who was just replaced, right, from leadership at the DNC, these people need to all be primaried. Because what good are they? What good is a quote unquote opposition party if you're not holding the criminal in the White House, like if you're not holding his feet to the fire, if you're not consistently every single day telling the American people what your offering is, not just what Trump is doing, but what you are offering instead. And that in order for us to get this country back on track, we don't have time to wait for a magical midterm and a magical 2028 presidential election. So every single one of those 128 should be fucking primaried. They make me sick. Philip, this is something that I ask myself on a regular basis. How much more depravity can the people take before things boil over? I said that this summer things were going to get bloodier, and things in this country in general will get bloodier before they get better. Not at all because I want that to be the case, but because follow the patterns of history. People need to lose everything, right? Their rights, their way of life, in order for them to recognize that we're not going to be free until all of us is free. And so I believe that America is headed towards a boiling point. I think that LA, right, was that first flare. I think that Chicago will be another flare. And as Donald Trump brings his Gestapo folks into blue states and cities, he again is hoping for martial law. And he is hoping that he can wag the dog with geopolitics and the interference that he is doing in the Middle East, right? By saying, if Democrats come out against me, then they're unpatriotic, when you're waging war without the okay of Congress. So, yeah, I think that he is itching for war abroad and at home, because if the people get to a place of revolt, he can bring down martial law. And that's why I say our biggest revolt is to stay our asses home and not work and shut the economy down. Those are my thoughts. Question, Thandara. Wondering if Trump's two sugar daddies, Bibi and Pootie, Netanyahu and Putin, which one will take precedence, and is it to do with the blackmail BB has? You know what? I'm not so sure that Trump needs to be blackmailed. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that he is just pure evil to the core, and that this is all about his ego and seeming like a strong man. I don't think that you really have to have anything over Donald Trump. We already know he's a scumbag. We already know he's a sexual predator. We already know that he's a grifter and a criminal. So what else could we possibly have? We already know that he was mentioned in the Epstein files. Like, what else? Like, I'll ask this question to all of you live in the chat right now. For those watching the video later, respond to me in the comments. What could Donald Trump, what would the right blackmail be? Since we know every bad thing that this man has done, that would have like the world stop and be like, oh my God, now we must do something about Trump. I can't think of what that could possibly be. We are coming to the end. Summer, do you think all hell will break loose next week with Iran after Linda McMahon's company, WWE, has their live event in Saudi Arabia? I know she wasn't happy when staff got stuck in Qatar. Oh, I didn't even know that that was happening. I don't follow the WWE. Unclear, but that's something now, Summer, I will be keeping my eyes on. Last two. Angie, do you believe that there is Black and brown unity? I've seen videos, Latinos calling Black officers the N-word. Look, there are always going to be those people in every community that want to dehumanize and demean others and think that their proximity to whiteness is somehow going to save them. And if you come to this country, you know that Black Americans are on the bottom of the totem pole, along with the indigenous the indigenous Native Americans. And so do I think that there are more people that are that have linked arms than not? Yes, I do. But do I think that those differences and issues are exacerbated in media? Absolutely. Because who gets to profit off of that? If we're all fighting as crabs in a barrel, guess who gets to get one over on all of us? It's time that we focus on who the real enemy is, and not each other. Last question. DJ Suffragette, have you heard about alligator Alcatraz? Yes, I have. And it was something that I was planning to cover this week. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. These people are insane, and they are so beyond depraved. Like, they think, like, it goes back to the question from earlier. They think that they live in some type of video game. Like, they think that, like, this isn't real people's lives, right? Like, these people are not people to them. But you have to understand from whence these people come from what like their stock is. These are like the descendants of people who were drawn and quartered, people who were castrating Black men and hanging them, right? Like, people, these are the descendants of some of the most depraved, right, people who have done acts of just absolute sociopathic, murderous behavior, and then try and gaslight us into their innocence. It's honestly, it's really sick and twisted and wild. But yeah, I will make sure to cover that this week. All right, folks. That is it for me today on the Danielle Moodie Show. I appreciate every single one of you for showing up. If you have yet to like, comment, and subscribe, please do so. Please hit the bell and subscribe. I am now past 25,000, working up to 30,000. These markers matter. They help the algorithms. They help get this show into as many channels, as many streams as possible. So please do like, comment, subscribe, and share, and help the algorithm fairies. And for those of you who have the ability to give $1, $2 in super sticker and super thanks, it goes a long way. This is absolutely independent media that I do from the ground up. So each and every single dollar helps. and helps me continue to deliver the content that you all deserve on a daily basis. That is it for me today, dear friends. Here, as always, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, and check me out on Substack at 12 p.m. Eastern with my dear friend, Jared Yates Sexton, for our check-in show. Uh, Thank you, Shirley. For our check-in show that we do where we unpack, right, how we are feeling about this time, where we don't just do the headlines, we go deep into how it is to live inside of a crumbling empire. So do check me out there. And Waj and I will not be live on Substack tomorrow, but we will be live on Substack 11:30 a.m. on Thursday with Representative Ro Khanna, and I have a lot of questions for him. So do make sure that you tune in. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you for the love and the support. I will see you tomorrow.